Hey, what's up, everybody?
Let's get ready here. Another one.
What's up, everybody? This is Kojo Raps on TV here. I'm live reporting from London. Lockdown. I'm here with Coach Larry Wade, a man who's worked with numerous boxers, athletes from the NBA and the NFL, and so on. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I love that intro, man. That's amazing. I like that.
We're gonna give you the fair respect that is deserved, and you've had a great year. So yeah, definitely happy to have you on the platform with us today. I mean, the whole world really is kind of going through the same thing,
Right.
coronavirus. How's things for you at the moment?
Well, like the rest of the world, I think we were all kind of startled at first, not fully understanding. Being a trainer, it's a lot of times when things come about because of life and experience, you've kind of seen a lot of these things. But with Corona, it's one of those things that I have no point of reference to. I've never experienced anything like it. As far as I know, my parents haven't even experienced anything like it. So it's a new ground for all of us. So it had us all a little unstable at first, but I think we're starting to settle down into the concept. The panic side is kind of subsiding a little bit, right? But we're all trying to hold on and maintain over here. And I think that's all over the world. And I'm very proud of that, too, because for an event to be so extreme and the world to respond the way it has responded as far as trying to be more aware of the things that we're doing, that's huge, man. I mean, it's in so many different ways.
Yeah, no, and you're right on how you just ended there in terms of the awareness, people having a bit of a spiritual reset, not just looking after the earth, looking after family, friends,
Right.
realizing what's important. So, yeah, in a strange way, it's needed, but at the sadness is that, a lot of people are losing their lives and income, and
Oh, yeah.
it's a different, it's a different set of circumstances that we've never been under before. So, yeah, we just got to take it as it comes, right? Just like boxing, keep moving forward and keep the fight going.
That's right.
So yeah, obviously yourself, you've worked with a list of top level boxers. I mean, Sean Porter is obviously very known for working with him. Luis Ortiz as well. Caleb Plant. So from a 2019 perspective, I think it's fair to say you had a good year working with some of those fighters. How would you look back on 2019, Larry?
Well, it would be unfair of me to leave out Badu Jack.
Yeah, of course.
Two division world champion and an amazing individual. I think it also would be unfair leaving out, England's own Vidal Riley and KSI in his fight with Logan Paul. And I don't want to leave out Shea Mosley Jr. either, who's one of my young guys who I'm bringing up through the ranks. So I think 2019 was a very busy season. For most, I tell people this all the time. I was in boxing camp for 16 months straight.
Wow.
No breaks. And that's what from one fight to the next fight to the next fight to the next fight. Before I knew it, 16 months had passed and I hadn't had one break. And so I had a very successful 2019, but at the same time, I had a very busy 2019, which is what excites me. I love the work. I'm always excited about the opportunity of working with, new people. And I think that's why I was able to do it and sustain it at such a high level, because it wasn't like I was just with one person for 16 months. It was split between 7 different people throughout the year from one camp to the next. So I was always excited. So it definitely was a great year, and I'm thankful to have it.
Yeah, and I mean, you speak about the roster of fighters, and I do apologize for the guys I missed out. But the great thing about that is the set of challenges that it brings, right? So you've got a guy who's trying to dethrone undefeated champion in Ortiz, Porter coming up against one of the top welterweights, Caleb Plant trying to make his mark, Badu Jack going up against a tough individual that just won the belt, and obviously the Vidal Riley. KSI more YouTube with the KSI. I mean, those types of challenges. How do you, I guess, rise to those occasions in terms of having to develop new game plans for these fighters?
Well, with each person, the way I do things is kind of like a doctor. You go to a doctor and tell the doctor, "Hey, I got a cold." The doctor says to you, "Okay, what are your symptoms?" You say, "I got a runny nose. or I got a fever, whatever it is you tell him that the problem is. He then takes in everything that you've told him, along with his experience and his medical background, and he comes up with an idea of what he thinks you actually have, and he prescribes, whatever antibiotics or vitamins or whatever it is that he needs you to take to get healthy. I'm similar to that, where I get a fighter and I go through a series of tests, and some physical, some mental, but once I finish those tests, I come up with an idea of what I feel like this person needs to improve in order to perform at the highest level of boxing. But at the same time, it's not just my experience and my education that helps that. It's also me taking into consideration what the boxer feels like he needs, and also what the lead trainer feels like he needs. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to be happy with the performance. And what I try to do is give them everything I feel like I need them to have, and everything they feel like they need to have as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. And you're talking about that teamwork, the communication with the lead coach, not just the fighter, and that's very interesting to hear. So I guess a question I want to ask you on that is, once you get your diagnosis and that you've gone through camp, they've gone through the fight, win, lose or draw, what would success look like to you? Because I mean, you as the coach, it's not always just about getting the victory. Do you see success in other areas?
But of course, I mean, there have been fights that we've won, and I'll be very honest with you, I'm my hardest critic.
Yeah.
I'm really hard on myself. Any loss, I take personal responsibility, even though it may not have been fully on my shoulders. I take personal responsibility, and I always say, what could I have done different? What could I have done in addition to what we did this camp? And because I do want to win, and I want to win just as bad as they want to win. And more importantly for me, my position is I have to personally make sure this young man or young woman makes it home safely. That's the key for me. So if fitness a lot of times is a reason why fighters throw bad punches or make bad decisions, fatigue sets in, so they make mistakes. And that's when they get exposed. And so I never want that to be the case in regards to any fighter that I train. I want them to be in the ultimate fitness, to the point where the person opposing them understands that it's going to be a matter of you having more dog and more will than this individual, because you're not going to be in better shape than him.
Yeah, no, and that's a fair sort of assessment. And I mean, I couldn't help but think when you said, you take the losses personally and you think what you could have done better. I think the highlight maybe would be the Luis Ortiz versus Wilder fight back in November.
Yeah.
What do you say against that? Because I think it's fair for everyone would say Luis performed better than he did in the first time around. He didn't get knocked down early. He won all of the rounds. It kind of felt like it was going in one direction, and then everything changed. How do you self-assess, your performance and his performance from that fight?
Well, Ortiz was my first true camp with Ortiz, and whenever you come into a camp for the first time, and this is some insight that most people don't know, when they hire a guy like myself to come in and help, in addition to a guy who's already an elite boxer, they've done some great things to get to that point. So they're very confident in what they've done and the things they're doing. So the things you bring to the table might create change that they're not used to. So a lot of times when you come new to a camp, it's a real slow introduction process. Even though they hired you and brought you in for that, the first couple of weeks is usually them trying to get used to what you want to have done and what they're used to doing, right? So the first couple of weeks with Ortiz was a little bit more challenging, just like any new client the first couple of weeks. But after the second, going into the third week of camp, we start really being able to have some really positive, productive work. I saw him make some huge leaps and bounds in his development, and more so in his understanding. And so when we led to that fight and going into it, I was very confident based on the things we did in sparring, based on the things we did in the pool, the long runs, the sprints on the track, the weightlifting. I was very confident that he would be able to go in there and put on a legitimate show based on him already being an amazing boxer. So with that being said, when we got in there and I'm watching him and I'm like, hey, man, you're winning this fight. Just stay focused. Keep doing what you're doing. And he knew that, too. The confidence was building on his side. And in my opinion, this is purely my opinion, when the 10-second bell went off or the clock went off, I think he relaxed a little too much. I think he was comfortable and he knew he had won that round. And the whole time, Deontay was just waiting for that one punch.
Yeah.
And so when he relaxed, he let his guard down and he got caught with it.
Yeah.
And it was an unfortunate situation. But I'll be honest with you, when he went down, I wasn't thinking, oh, God, this just everything, the work we just put in just fell to the side. I was thinking, be healthy, get up. Yeah. I just wanted him to be able to get up. Because at the end of the day, people don't realize on top of these guys being boxers, they're family men and family women. They got kids, families that look forward to them coming home. Yeah. And he had his kids there in the corner watching the fight. So the first thing I wanted to see him do is get up, be safe, sound, physically and mentally, so I can get you back home to your family. And that was key for me. Was I disappointed and lost? Sure. We put in a lot of work to be able to get to that point to lose. But the positive that I take out of it, and I think this is kind of what you touched on, is I know for a fact we did everything we could do for that moment, and he gets the opportunity to go back to be with his family.
Yeah, no, and I think he came out even with more credibility because it was that type of performance that everyone was thinking Wilder's losing the fight here, and half exposed. I always say the word a bit harshly, exposed him, but it kind of more highlighted, the frailties that Wilder had against certain types of boxers. So I think it was a great performance. And I guess I want to move on to another one of your fighters. As much as 2019 was good, 2020 started just as good before coronavirus hit. Caleb Plant down at Nashville, homecoming fight for himself as a fighter who's
sweet hands, baby.
Sweet hands. He had a tough 2019, tough last few years. How much joy do you get to see him sort of performing at the level he is now? And just talk to us about how you guys started working together and what the fans can expect to see for him moving forward.
Well, the Caleb Plant story is so interesting because really people don't know the layers to how Caleb Plant and I actually met up together.
We're
Caleb
here for that.
Actually married to Jordan Plant.
Yes.
Right. And Jordan Plant used to be Jordan Hardy, who actually ran track and field for UNLV.
Yeah.
Which is a college I coached for.
Yeah.
And so I was her coach first.
Oh, wow.
And the short period of time that I had her, she improved dramatically, drastically in that period of time. And so when she retired, she was walked away from UNLV. That is, she was already a leader in the community. She was already doing some pretty big things. She ended up getting a job opportunity at PBC, Premier Boxing Channel, and she started doing that, which forced her to interact with a lot of different boxers and a lot of different people to network in. And just so happened, her coach was already at this time multi-world champion trainer, right? So she would talk about it, and just so happens she ended up dating Caleb.
Yeah.
Now, Caleb was up and coming at that time. He wasn't at the level he's at right now, but he was still super, super talented. But he needed a strength conditioning coach.
Yeah.
And because at that time, people were kind of questioning his ability to close out fights and, being able to knock people out. And so he wanted a guy like myself. But at the time, I already had a guy in his division with Badu Jack, who's the WBC world champion. So I couldn't take Caleb at the time simply because I have this concept where I don't like to have boxers in the same weight class.
Yeah.
Because I never wanted to be a conflict of interest. And at some point, I expect every last one of my boxers to be able to perform at the highest level. So at some point, one of the guys is going to have to challenge the other guy.
Yeah.
And then that puts me in a sticky situation. So I never wanted to take a guy. So I told Caleb at that time, listen, I would like to train you, but I got, Badu Jack. But I talked to Badu, and Badu was like, I don't care. You can go ahead and train him, but I'm probably never going to fight him. Because at that time, Badu was already considering moving up weight classes.
To light heavy, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, Badu, I appreciate that, but brother, you got to understand, this young man he's a wolf with it. He's a dog. He's going to come for you. So you don't move up fast enough, he coming.
Yeah.
And Badu was like, well, he didn't mind,
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I waited till we decided to move up. And when he moved up and won another world title, Badu Jack, that is, I went to Caleb and was like, hey, you still want that trainer? You want that strength conditioning coach? Because I would love to be that. And he took me on.
Oh, nice.
And at that time, we were just really getting started. We had to go do some developing. months in order to get him where he wanted to be. But I knew from the first time I started working with this young man that he would be pound for pound the best boxer in the sport, based on his skill set, his work ethic, and his quote unquote dog. The kid is one of the toughest individuals I've met, not only physically but mentally as well. He doesn't accept anything other than being the best. And the one thing that he said to me to kind of give you a foundation of how he thinks is, he said, Coach Wade, you're the best in the sport. He said, but if you ever take it easy on me, that's when I'm going to fire you.
Wow. Okay.
And that says a lot about a young man. He doesn't. He don't want to just be good.
He wants to be great.
The greatest.
Yeah.
And he doesn't feel like he can get there if he got people around him taking it easy on him, which I appreciate. So, but he never has to worry about that with me because it's built in my nature to be that way. So he's endured it. And he's done things very well with his father and Justin Gamber, who's his trainer, and we all work together very well together. We all have an understanding together. And so we never have any problems. And let me not leave out the queen herself, Miss Jordan Plant, who is the organizer, manager, agent, structure. She does everything to make sure the wheel turns properly. Yeah. We're just the spokes.
We even see her in some of the behind the scenes. She's on the track with him, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's why I've now got the link with you saying you coached her.
Yeah, people don't realize this girl's competitive, man.
Yeah.
These guys, they be at the track. And be honest with you, most times, I don't allow my boxers to bring their wives or girlfriends to my training.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it can be distracting. And if it ever comes a moment where I need to, quote unquote, get in their ass, I don't want them to feel embarrassed in front of their significant other.
Yeah.
In this particular situation, that is never a problem. She goes hard on him the same way I would go hard on him. And they don't even, when I say that in a joking way, because he's not the kind of individual that you got to go hard on him. I got to tell him one time and he's going to get it done. Okay. So he's actually the reverse, where I have to try to hold him back. He always wants to do more. He always wants to go faster. He always wants to go harder. So I have to hold him back because there's a timing to peaking for boxing. So I always have to hold him back so he doesn't peak early. But I'm going to be honest with you, he's getting better and better every fight.
Wow.
He came back stronger each and every time after each and every fight. So I'm very pleased with the development that we've had so far. And I really do feel like before it's over, he'll be pound for pound the top boxer in the sport.
I mean, he's in a division right now which is heavily talked about. I mean, you've got obviously the Callum Smith, you've got Billy Joe Saunders, you've got Canelo that is free to do what he wants, more or less. You've got Benavidez, and you guys are on the same side of the street. I guess obviously with Caleb winning his fight, I'm sure he's eager to get back out. How are you sort of working with him? How are you training him during this downtime of the Corona zone period?
Well, the great thing is for us a little bit, Corona hitting kind of allowed us more of the break that I wanted him to receive anyway. He's kind of guy, he wants to get right back in the gym, 2 weeks later. And if he's able to. So getting him to allow his body to heal, and in all fairness, he didn't take too many punches in his last fight that would need more healing. But I like for that, not only just for the physical side, but also the mental side. The guy has gone through every camp. He goes through at least 3 months of training, a month of pre-camp and 2 months of camp. Wow. So a 30-year, a fourth of your year basically is going by.
Yeah.
And you've been in camp the entire time. The man needs at least 30 days to let his mind refresh and come back and get back into that same groove of training. So this kind of helped us. It came at a good time. I don't think Corona could ever be a great thing for us, for anyone. But I feel like it just happened to be a good time for us. And now he's back training, but it's more individual, and he's doing it at his home, and he's got things set up so he can get the training in. And so I don't have to ever worry about if he's getting it in. I know for a fact he's getting it in. And he's not doing it by himself. His wife is right there doing it, right there with him.
Side by side, right?
Side by side.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, obviously during this period, we're seeing a lot of mythical matchups. But one thing that in terms of, let's say, the boxing fan commentary, and it might be wishful thinking, is that we're thinking with this sort of downtime in period happening, we might get to see some of the bigger fights or some of the more competitive fights sooner than we would have done in the past. And a fight that I would have liked to have seen is Sean Porter versus Crawford. Can I just ask your thoughts on that as a matchup, and what's your thoughts on Crawford versus Porter as fighters?
Well, let me first say this.
Mm-hmm.
Me being, one of the individuals that work with Sean, myself, Kenny Porter, Mr. Barry Hunter, Hal Turnoff. Sean Porter wants that fight.
Oh, yeah?
He wants to fight. He has always said he's wanted to fight because Sean Porter is he's an old school fighter, man. I mean, old school. And I think sometimes that doesn't always fit because the old school fighters, they right there punch you in the nose with it. They come with it. They ain't afraid to fight anyone. He's definitely back to the Hagler days, right?
Yeah.
So when the option came up, he always wanted to fight, Crawford. He wants to fight anybody who's a top guy.
Yeah.
Now, so the problem is these guys don't want to fight him.
Okay.
And then that's just being honest with you. There's really a list of 5 or 6 guys. You got Errol Spence, who initially said he was going to give a rematch, but after all the things he endured, decided he didn't want to do the rematch. Yeah. And so then you got that's 2 belts. You got Manny Pacquiao, who Sean would love to actually fight, but Manny is on his victory tour, I think, at this point, where and he's earned the right, in my opinion, to kind of decide who and what and how he wants to, finish his career. And then you got who's left? I'm missing.
Danny Garcia is in that.
Yeah, Crawford, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, and then there's Sean Porter. So Sean definitely has no problem fighting any of those guys. I know he wanted the Errol Spence fight back. He really wanted that fight back. I actually think he did a fabulous job in that fight. I don't think he brought the fight that everybody thought they were going to see. I think after they saw the Ugas fight, the whole world was like, oh, he's vulnerable. We had some things that weren't in line. We had to get some things in line. I joined the team again and gave me a good time to help prepare him, along with, like I said, Barry Hunter, Kenny Porter, and Al Turnoff. So he came into that fight with some old vintage Sean Porter, coming at you nonstop, throwing punches from every direction, not afraid to take a punch, but at the same time trying to give you 2. And I think that's in my opinion, it probably the hardest fight. And it's not just my opinion. I think the whole world says it's the hardest fight Errol Spence has ever had. Absolutely. And it definitely didn't go the direction he thought it was going to go. And I even heard him say out his own mouth that, he didn't know the fight. Sean was that type of fighter. I'd be that tough in the fight.
Yeah, and I think with what boxing is like, sometimes I think people look at a few losses and they think, oh, it doesn't mean the fighters of the right level. But for me, I think you're right. I thought it was a good fight, even just watching as a fan, as an analyst, highly competitive, kind of going very close rounds, all action. And I think you're right what you're saying. I think Sean Porter showed that he is part of that elite level. It's just a shame everyone associates elite level with a belt. I think if you look at guys in all of the rankings that do not have a belt, Porter for me is one of the top guys. He'll give everybody a tough day, and that's just a fact. We've seen that, right? Thurman, Garcia, they're all slightly controversial. So yeah, no, it's good. And I think from you as a coach, Sean Porter seems like he's got that attitude of always wanting to come forward, loves the high energy. How easy is it to work with him, and how open is he to new ideas that you bring to the table to improve him?
Oh, he's always open, and working with him is always a great thing for me, because I really do believe that any athlete that I work with, they have to have a certain character or a certain personality that I, one, accept, and 2, believe have a chance to be successful, because all athletes don't have the same mentality, and all athletes aren't coachable, right? So, and we've seen that in boxing, especially where you got guys who we know have talent that should be the best, but they got these other things around them that doesn't allow them to, for lack of words, I'm gonna say, humble themselves enough to be directed or to be coached. And if they did that, they would find themselves probably in a more productive or positive place. But Sean Porter is one of those guys where he wants to be great. He wants to prove himself against the greatest. He's not the guy who's going to look for the weak fight, what they call cherry picking. He ain't cherry picking. He going for the guys who got belts, who feel like they're good enough to take on the challenge, and that's what he wants.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I can honestly say about him. He's always looking forward to it. He wanted to fight Arrow years before the fight even happened.
Yeah.
But this is why let's get into this other subject of us wanting to see the best fights. That's when politics come in.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a matter of just the best fighting the best anymore, which more the old school style is who can fight the best and be seen on social media or perceived as a good fight.
Yeah.
You know, from a money earning standpoint.
Exactly.
Sean Porter's #1 in the division, and you've heard no one, and I say no one, has mentioned his name. He's #1 ranked by the WBC, well, at the WBC division. No one has mentioned his name because they understand that fight comes one or two ways. And I want you to research this. In the fights of the fighters that I worked with, and I just used Badu, Jack, and Sean Porter, the fight they lost or ended up a draw, whatever the case may be, were either nominated as Fight of the Year or won Fight of the Year.
Fair enough.
Sean Porter lost to Keith Thurman, and he lost to Errol Spence. Both of those fights were Fight of the Year. You know, and that Badu Jack had a draw against James DeGale. And was
great
Fight of the Year.
I remember that 2018. That was a great start to the year.
Yeah. So you're talking about guys who do take a loss, or if they do take a loss or a draw, you're going to have to bring your ass that day because those guys put on a show each and every fight when it was either a draw or a loss. So you're going to get your money's worth for sure. So I would love to see any of those guys line up and say they actually openly say, I want to fight Sean Porter. But I don't think they will.
You don't see that. And I'll correct myself. Sorry, it was 2017 the Badu Jack draw. But you're right. We're gonna not only do the research. We're gonna question. We're hoping to get more guests from the welterweight division. We'll start to test their thoughts on Sean Porter because you are right. A lot of people do call out and they say Errol Spence because of maybe they feel that that's where the finance is, but not many people speak about Sean Porter. So yeah, we'll look forward to delving into that a bit deeper. And I guess what I wanted to speak to you now is that Badu Jack fight with James DeGale. How did that come around? Because obviously he was working with the Mayweather, and he was training out of Vegas. So from your point of view, how did you get involved with Badu Jack?
Well, this is the funny part about the Badu Jack story. I actually saw Badu for years at UNLV. He would train on the track, and he would train with the other TMT guys. But he was always different. He seemed like he was more independent, that he stood up on his own when the other guys were kind of trained in groups. He still would train with them, but he was kind of isolated, and he worked hard, but he was kind of like by himself, and that kind of stood out to me. So a young man by one of his managers, Mike Leonardi, called me and asked me to interview me in regards to Badu Jack. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. And so we sat down and we talked. And after the first conversation, he kind of liked me. So the kind of guy that I am, I went to Sean Porter and I was like, hey, so this is a possible opportunity for me in regards to working with Badu Jack. What do you think? And the first thing Sean Porter said to me was, Coach, he's a world champion and you're a world championship coach. So, yeah, you need to work with him. And so I got his blessings at that point, which made it even easier for me to go back to Badu. But Badu also had to be able to be okay with me being his strength conditioning coach because he had a guy who was on the line at the time who was a world-renowned strength conditioning coach that he was also considering. And I was actually at first going to be partnering up with. But after working with me for 2 weeks, Badu was like, I don't want him at all. I'm going to stick with you. And so we moved forward and ended up winning another world title together. Yeah,
because you worked with him when he fought Nathan Cleverly as well, right? Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah, so no, that was another step up for him. So I guess the proof is in the pudding when it comes to your work. So Larry, I wanted to kind of talk about some of the, I say, rumors that have been going on of late in terms of when boxing may start. And we've seen Dana White has come out with a statement about UFC moving to a private island and fights behind closed doors. We've seen that in wrestling. They're having bouts behind closed doors. From a boxing perspective, do you think that's something that's feasible? And I mean, can you picture how that would work, especially in the United States where you've got, your Vegases, your Madison Square Gardens? How do you think it could work behind closed doors in the boxing world?
Well, I've had plenty of time to think about it, and I've discussed it actually with my athletes as well. I think it's possible. I think it can happen. I think it'll be an intro. Now, when I say intro, I mean it'll be the intro back into public sports,
Yeah.
where I don't think it'll stay that way. I think to give the fans something to watch and also something to cheer for and believe in, they can put it behind closed doors. And honestly, I don't think it'll be that much of a difference in regards to their competitive spirit and also what you see in sparring. These guys spar every day, 12 rounds and, things of that nature. So they're used to doing it kind of behind closed doors anyway.
Yeah.
But do the crowd make it more exciting? Sure, it does. But you got to think about the excitement and adrenaline these young men and young women are going to have once they're able to leave out their house and get out this cabin fever and actually be back into the ring and be excited to be seen on TV and at the same time be able to make, income for their families. So I can see it working. I can see it working initially, to give them a start. And then it's more as the coronavirus starts to slow down or get better, I think we'll slowly implement, live shows. I just saw the day that China today just released their stay at home, I guess, rule that they had in place, that now they're allowing people to leave their homes. And that was the epicenter of it all. So if they can do it, I know we can do it.
Yeah. No, that's a very valid point. And I mean, in terms of the fighters, so it sounds like you've had a good interaction with people thinking they would want to do behind closed doors fights. Just talk to me about how you would see, if you've heard anything then. Have you heard any potential bouts? Have you heard of a date that boxing may come back?
No, you know what? That changes all the time.
Yeah.
And I've talked to people who are quote unquote in the know. And unless I'm hearing it from the top men on top, I don't want to assume, but I keep hearing, I've heard summer, then I've heard August, and then I've even heard November, December.
Wow.
But honestly, just like this virus came, none of us can determine how this is going to play out. Just like we didn't see it coming. So I do know this: as soon as they allow them to, they will be right back out training. They'll be right back out fighting because they're ready to. The only thing that I hope is now, with everyone having a break, we can stop having excuses to why certain people ain't fighting certain people. Bad timing. We can't do this. We can't do that. Well, everybody's been resting now.
That's a very that's a very, very valid point. And so, Coach, before I let you go, and it's really been a great 30 minutes just talking with you. For the people that are watching, can you give them any tips or some advice of what they can do to stay healthy, not just in the body, also in the mind? Any little home exercises, anything you can recommend?
Totally. First of all, let me say this. Every day I challenge myself to do something different. Be uncomfortable. When I mean uncomfortable, do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, because once you do it, you'll find that will empower you. You'll stop worrying yourself about the fear of failure and start embracing the opportunity of success. So no matter what that is, whether that's you writing a book, if that's you creating your own website on the internet, if that's you doing some kind of home decorative things, paint your house, whatever it is, find something that's different than what you're used to and try your best to embrace it and make the best out of it. And I always say you want to leave this situation better than you entered it. So you got plenty of time now. I've heard this even from myself. If I had more time, well, that's all we have now. So you have plenty of time to set up the plan. And I said this on one of my social media sites, that this is the perfect time to come up with the perfect plan for whatever it is that you want to do. So that way, when the wheel starts to turn, you already got your ducks in a row, your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Now you can move forward with even, excelling higher in whatever it is that you're doing. So that's the one thing I say mentally. Physically, find something physical to do every 2 to 3 days. Recently, I started doing workout stuff online, which I'll be releasing here soon. They just posted something on the Mayweather channel just a couple of days ago me explaining the workout I have Badu Jack doing and why he's doing it. I also will be showing some of those things on my social media as well, which is Coach Larry Wade at everything. Coach Larry Wade at Twitter, Coach Larry Wade at Instagram, Coach Larry Wade at Facebook.
Get that.
We're going to be offering all these things to you guys too. So just try to give yourself 30 minutes of exercise, whatever that is. If it's just walking alone, or if it's jogging, or if it's doing some form of home, push-ups, pull-ups, just 30 minutes a day. You'll be so surprised how much better physically and also mentally you will feel by doing these things. Because without doing these things, without exercising, without challenging yourself, and you looking at everything that's going around in the world, you can find yourself in a depressed state and not even realize it because of how the world is functioning at this moment. So do those things to keep your body at peace, keep your mind at peace. That way you can continue to be and create positive thoughts, and hopefully those thoughts turn into goals which you follow once this is over.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. That's wise words. And I was going to get you to shout out your social media. I'll get you to do it again, but also just talk to us about the mask. I've seen that you've got the masks that you I want to say you were selling online. Just talk to us quickly about how you got involved in that and when we can expect to see some more, because I believe they're sold out now. But
listen, I started the mask concept. I had a friend who was making them, and she said she wanted to sell them. I said, well, I got a pretty good following, and I want to be able to see if I can help them too. As a matter of fact, what I was trying to do is do it on a more grand scale, so that a donation of percentage of the proceeds will go toward the coronavirus research. But there was too small of supply to be able to do it at a grand scale. Especially since everything from China got shut down, so you can't bring anything in from China. So that being said, my friends gave me some masks. She gave me 20 at first, and I put the Coach Larry Wade logo on them, and they sold out in 15 minutes.
Nice.
Maybe 20. Then I ended up ordering some more 50, and they sold out overnight. Then I ordered some more 50, and they sold out in a day and a half. So they start selling out, and I was happy to be able to help. But once again, when you have a source that is not as fruitful, because it's a small situation, that you're not going to be able to have as many to sell. Now it's at a point where we sold so many, they're already behind stock, so I don't know if I'll get back to that, but I'm looking into that just to try to see if there's other things that I can do to help people who are out there.
Yeah, no, that's good. And like you said earlier, do something different, find something to just take yourself out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself. So listen, Coach, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Any final words for our UK audience or our internet?
Hey, totally. Listen, first of all, thank you guys for supporting the sport. The sport is amazing right now, especially in the UK and in England and overseas. You guys are doing a wonderful job of representing. I think you guys got a few world champions now over there. So you got some belts on that side that we would like to have back. But you guys have done a great job. We appreciate all the support. And at the end of the day, just know this. The only thing you can do is be you. The only thing you can do is be you. All I'm asking you to do is to make a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
That way you can make the world better and you can make yourself better. Challenge yourself. Become great today.
Yeah. No. That great words. Mr. Coach Larry Wade. That's Coach Larry Wade at all social medias. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you
Keep
so
safe
much,
during
man.
these times. And I'm sure we'll be in touch soon and look forward to seeing you at a boxing event in the near future.
Yes, sir. Can't wait for it.
Thank you very much, brother. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Cheers. This is Raps on TV signing out.